Hello there, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. You're joining me, Azima, and I'm from myEnglishMatters.com. Today, we are going to talk about how to use the apostrophe. That's our topic for today. And we would normally use the apostrophe when it comes to writing. So if this is an area of concern for you, do stay tuned. We're going to have a little bit of a quiz at the end. So I hope you guys will pay attention because there is quite a lot to cover. It's quite tricky. And if you are not sitting comfortably, I hope you are. You've got pen and paper and you're ready to go. All right. So good morning, everybody. Do say hello in the comments while I'm here live so I can see who's here, who's joining me, who's interested in the apostrophe. And if this is a tricky area for you, it's also very tricky for me as well, as I went through and read through this. But this topic is actually covered in our program called Members Monthly. So we actually did this with our students who are part of the Members Monthly program. And I'm only showing you a snippet of it. All right. So if you're a Members Monthly student, do say hello if you're here watching, because you are watching this again. But if you are not, say hello as well. I'd love to see who's here. Hello. Hello, Mashita. Hello, Najib. Hello, Fazian. Atika, Fazila. Wonderful to see you. Hello, Aisha. Great to see you. I'm going to put up your name so it feels like you're here with me. As you can see, my background's a bit it's different today, and you might guess, I don't know if you are familiar with this studio. This is actually Amna's office. So I'm borrowing her office. I'm at her house because I have an appointment with the doctor. So I'm here. I'm good. I'm well, don't worry. But I'm here right here in KL. Soraya, hello there. Fazliana, hello. Nice to see you all. So let's do this. How to use the apostrophe. And I'm going to cover tricky areas of concern, common mistakes, debates that are going on even right now among grammarians. So we're going to do this as best as we can. And if you do have questions, do type them, or you might even discuss in the comments. I welcome them. And Aisha and Amna will also be helping me in the comments if I can't see the comments. Okay. All right. So how to use apostrophe, let's talk about it. So firstly, the apostrophe S, is used to identify, mainly I'm going to cover two things: possession or belonging. So something belongs to you, you would use the apostrophe or apostrophe S. And you would also use it in contractions. So for example, you want to shorten a word, it is shortened to it apostrophe S. So I'm going to cover these two things. And I'm going to talk about general rules used for business writing, because there are style guides for other industries. Like, for example, if you're a journalist, it would be probably a different sort of rules. If you are in the academic world, there might be different set of rules for you guys. So we're going to focus on business writing and even debates among grammarians in business writing as well. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the possession first. When it comes to the possession, you would add the apostrophe S to a singular noun not ending in S. This includes proper names. For example, Hagrid's bushy eyebrows. So Hagrid from Harry Potter, he's got bushy eyebrows. That belongs to him. You would put Hagrid apostrophe S, bushy eyebrows. Or another example, the cat's tail. The cat's tail. Do you guys love cats? I love cats. The cat's tail. So that tail belongs to the cat, the possession. So you would have cat apostrophe S. Very simple. We'll start simple first before we get to the common mistakes or tricky areas after this. Okay. All right. Don't worry, we'll cover that, Linda. So I'm looking at the questions. Okay. Now, you would add only the apostrophe without an S, right? So pay attention to this one. If the plural nouns, we're talking about plural. Just now we were talking about singular noun. Now it's a plural noun that ends in S. So take a look at this. This is where it gets tricky, like I said. The cats, there's now two cats or two or three or more than one, basically. The cat's apostrophe there without an S, and it's not the cat's tails. So take a look at this one, my example. The cat's, C-A-T-S apostrophe tails, because there's more than one tail, so tails there. So if you put the cats with apostrophe S, it looks like there's too many S's. But again, there might be a slight debate in this area, right? So I'm looking at it from a business writing sort of angle here, okay? We want to make it concise, okay? My grandparents' house, you would put the grandparents apostrophe without an S. My grandparents' house, that house belongs to my grandparents. Okay, so if you put S with apostrophe S, it just looks like there's too many S's, excessive S's basically, okay? But again, you know, there are debates in this area, but I want to make it nice and neat. I wouldn't put that, okay? However, this is where you have to pay attention. Do add an apostrophe S to an irregular plural noun. So we're still talking about plural nouns here, but now it's an irregular plural noun that doesn't end in S. So for example, the children's toys, because we have child would be singular, the plural for that is an irregular one. It's not child's, so it's children's. Children is the irregular plural there. So children's toys. Okay, children's toys. You put an apostrophe S there. Similarly, the research data's importance, that's also an irregular plural there. The research data's importance. So, and we have the women's desks, the women's desks. Okay, a lot of, even the pronunciation, you have to be careful here. You have to say your S's, okay? All right. Now, you would also add only the apostrophe without an S. That means an apostrophe without an S if the name ends in an S, okay? Again, this is tricky. There's a debate among grammarians in this aspect. So let's take a look at some examples. I love Keats's poems. I love Keats' poems. So as you can see, the name Keats has an S there. It ends in an S, but the poems belong to him. So you would add only the apostrophe without an S. So yeah, we'll take a look at some more examples. So let's take a look at this one. Serena Williams' comeback victory. Serena Williams' comeback victory. So I saw this in a newspaper headline. I think journalists and reporters and people who write, you know, headlines, they would generally have only the apostrophe without an S. Okay, you will see this pattern. Ryan Reynolds' wife is Blake Lively. Okay, Ryan Reynolds' wife is Blake Lively. Okay, so this is just one way that you can do it, but it's not wrong because other style guides, even grammar books, they also do accept apostrophe plus S. Oh my goodness. Okay, so you might even see Keats' apostrophe S poems. Okay, you might see Ryan Reynolds' wife with apostrophe S after the S, before the S. Okay, so in this aspect, what I would advise you to do if you're not sure about names, what you can do is simply ask, you know, what your industry uses and what your company uses, and then be consistent with your choice so that, you know, one paragraph use apostrophe S, the next paragraph also uses the apostrophe S. It's not like this page uses no apostrophe, the next page uses an apostrophe. So you don't want to look, you know, muddled in that way. So you have to be consistent with your choice, right? Again, if you're not sure, find out what your industry uses, okay? What your company and style guides as well. Okay. Right. So I've got a picture there of Ryan Reynolds and his wife, okay, Blake Lively. Some more tricky areas. So this one, if the word that follows begins with an S, if the word that follows begins with an S. So take a look at this one. The boss's sister, in this area, we've got BOSS apostrophe, and then we've got another word that begins with an S. It just looks neat without an S, all right? But it's also correct, because you might find other style guides use this, the boss's sister, in this sense. So even the pronunciation would be the boss's sister. In that sense, you can also do that, okay? So again, if you're not sure, find out what is recommended in your field and follow that, okay? And the most important thing is to be consistent with your choice. Just be consistent with your choice. So let's take a look at another example. The boss's office, here, office doesn't begin with an S, so it's safe to put BOSS apostrophe S, because we're talking about one boss. And then if it's more than one boss, the boss's apostrophe there, offices, the boss's offices. The boss's offices, we have apostrophe S because there's more than one boss, and then there's more than one office. Offices, be careful in that sense as well, that you put an S there. Okay? All right. That's a tricky area. How are you guys doing? Hope you are okay. But I do want you to think about it so that you can identify where you get confused and what your industry says about it, and the style guides that you follow. Okay? Now let's talk about shared versus independent possessives. So now we're talking about, I'll give you two examples. If I'm talking about friends that belong to Peter and Janet, so they're a couple, it would be Peter and Janet's apostrophe to Janet's name, because Peter and Janet, they share friends. The friends belong to both Peter and Janet, so it's shared, okay? However, it would be a completely different meaning if I put Peter apostrophe S and Janet apostrophe S, so it would be Janet's friends. Peter's and Janet's friends, each they have apostrophe S there. It means friends of Peter, that's a completely different set, to friends of Janet. It's another different set of friends, right? Friends of Peter, friends of Janet. So we have Peter's and Janet's friends, right? So in this aspect, if you're confused, I hope that makes sense to you, okay? All right. Here's another tricky area. So I'm just highlighting some tricky areas for you. If the compound is plural, okay, we're talking about not singular but plural, the same rule applies. Let's take a look. My sister's in-laws purses. Okay. So if you have only one sister-in-law, sister-in-law. If you have two of them, two sisters-in-law, not two sister-in-laws. Are you guys clear? One brother-in-law, two brothers-in-law. Okay? So just pay attention to that first before I go on to talk about the possessive here. So my sisters-in-law, pay attention to the S there, apostrophe S. My sisters-in-law's purses. So the apostrophe S there would be at the last word, laws. But the sisters also need to have an S because it means plural. So the purses belong to them. The purses belong to my sisters-in-law. All right. So if you repeat after me, you'll get it. Okay. Number two, I'll give you another example. The Attorney General's responsibilities. Okay, so in this sense, we're talking about more than one Attorney General. So attorneys, we put an S at the noun attorneys, but the apostrophe S, the possessive S, is at the end of that word, attorneys generals, apostrophe S, responsibilities. Yeah, you just have to practice. You have to notice these sort of things. So if you tend to make this sort of mistake, pay attention, okay? I'm giving you tricky words, all right? Number 3, the passers-by's votes were important. The passers-by's votes were important. So if it's one passerby, it would be passerby. More than one, passers-by, passers-by. But the apostrophe S to show the belonging would go at the end of that word, passers-by, apostrophe S, votes were important. The passers-by's votes were important. So I hope you can repeat after me so that you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Okay? It does take practice, okay? Right, now let's talk about another common confusion, guys. We're talking about plural of numbers and dates. And so now we're talking about plurals. What do we do with plurals when you have a number, when you have dates, numbers and dates? So do not add apostrophe S to numbers. Okay, so for example, by the 1920s, so it's not by the 1920 apostrophe S. So by the 1920s, Henry David Lee had a well-known reputation in the garment industry as an innovator. The company was founded in the 1980s, so without an apostrophe. And that 70s show was a comedy set in the 70s without apostrophe S there, without the apostrophe S there. All right. So take notes if you're like, okay, I'm getting, I understand a little bit, or perhaps you're like thinking, yeah, I get confused with numbers and dates. Let me just take note of this and I'll do my research. Okay. Right, now let's move on to the second part of the, because we're talking about the apostrophe, I want to talk about the use of the contraction, how to use it properly. So it's IT apostrophe S stands for, or it's short for it is, or it has. So the apostrophe there stands for it is or it has. It's not, it's never for it was. Okay. Let's take a look at some examples. Number 1, it's your pen, isn't it? So it is short for it is. It is your pen, is it not? Number 2, it's been ages since I last saw you. It's with apostrophe S there is short for it has. It has been ages since I last saw you. So it's not it was been or it's your pen, it was your pen. It is always IT apostrophe S. It's always it is or it has, and you have to know your grammar to know which one it is. Okay. All right. The common confusion here when it comes to ITS versus IT apostrophe S is you don't know what's the difference in meaning. Now, there's no apostrophe in possessive it's. Okay, we just learned about possessive in our first part. We learned about IT apostrophe S, for example. But in this sense, I'm gonna teach you about the possessive where you do not use the apostrophe. Okay. The cat's tail was very long. One day, its tail got stuck in a gate. So if you take a look at its tail, ITS without an apostrophe. Okay, if you put an apostrophe there, it would sound like this. One day it is tail, or it has tail, which is grammatically incorrect. Okay. The dog wagged its tail. The dog moved its tail. The dog wagged its tail. Again, as you can see, ITS without an apostrophe. So just remember, ITS is similar to hers, his, ours, and theirs. Okay? So be careful in this. Be careful in this sense. All right. Okay. Now we have a quiz on this area just for it, because this is a common mistake, and I think that if you just understand this, it's a good start, right? So I'll give you 1 minute to answer. Is it IT apostrophe S, meaning does it mean it is or it has, or is simply ITS, no apostrophe there? And if it is or it has, I would like for you to write down the grammar, the form, the full form, right? So for example, no, I'm going to read the questions. It's hard to explain. Number 2, she could hear its footsteps. Number 3, something was pushing its way through the bushes. Number 4, it's got to be done today. Number 5, obviously the long week was taking its toll on him as well. Number 6, it's been a long week. Number 7, he thinks it's going to rain. Number 8, the company raised its rates. Number 9, it's unfair. And number 10, it would be an excellent opportunity to get out of this house with its unpleasant memories. So you guys decide, fill in the blanks. Is it IT apostrophe S? If it is that, is it is or it has? If it's not, is it IT apostrophe S? All right, I'll give you a few more seconds to try out this quiz. Okay, so we'll see how, is it clear? Do you guys get it? All right. Let's see. I'll make it bigger so that you guys can see. You guys can give it a go. And then I'm going to reveal the answer shortly. All right. Let's see if you got 10 out of 10, the answers. So remember, IT apostrophe S is it is or it has, but not it was. Right, Amna says, everybody's thinking hard right now. Okay, I'm going to go through the answers. Number 1, it's hard to explain. So IT apostrophe S stands for it is. Number 2, she could hear its footsteps. We're talking about the possessive its. So no apostrophe S. Okay, ITS. Just like I've taught you. Number 3, something was pushing its way through the bushes. Possessive its. ITS. Number 4, what do you guys think? It's got to be done today. IT apostrophe S stands for it has. It's short for it has. It has got to be done today. So this is grammar. Number 5, obviously the long week was taking its toll on him as well. It's the possessive it's, ITS. Number 6, it's been a long week. It's been a long week. IT apostrophe S. What I mean there is it has been a long week. Okay. Number 7, he thinks it's going to rain. He thinks it's going to rain. IT apostrophe S. It is going to rain. Number 8, the company raised its rates. Is the possessive ITS. Number 9, it's unfair. This is so difficult. IT apostrophe S, it is unfair. And number 10, it would be an excellent opportunity to get out of this house with ITS, unpleasant memories. Possessive it's. Wow, how are you guys doing? Right, I know you guys are like, okay, yeah, I get it. I hope so, I hope so. And if it's still confusing, so you take a look at which area that confuses you and learn more, because if you do want to learn more, you want to brush up your grammar, if you're interested to learn more with us, then I recommend that you guys become a subscriber to myenglishmatters.com so that you can learn more, because we have grammar courses, courses in writing and all. So if you're interested in that, go to myenglishmatters.com and you can brush up on your grammar. Okay? All right. So I would like to invite you to join our email list so you can get weekly tips by joining myenglishmatters.com and become a subscriber. So that's it from me. Thank you very much for joining. It's been a pleasure. Bye for now, everybody.